Hi, it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here for your next PB&J card class. And today's video I will be making an easel card, and this card features our slapstick cling stamp skyward as well as embellishments from our snowflake duo and Beneath the Birches creative dies. So to begin, I'm working on the main panel of the easel card, and I'm working on this in my Misty, which is a stamp positioning tool. And you could use the Misty, or you could use any other stamp positioning tool that you have, or you could try inking up your stamp with several colors at one time. I just find this way is a really easy way to build a scene. So I'm going to start by inking the entire stamp with Memento Peanut Brittle ink, and this is the lightest color for the branches. And I wanted to do this first so I could get a good look at the entire image as I'm working on it. So I've just inked that up, and then I am stamping it down. And I'll do that a couple of times just to ensure that it's a real good impression and nice and dark. And then I'm going to begin building up the color to the image. So I'm just cleaning this off before I put more color on and making sure it's pretty dry. And now I'm going to go with one of my darkest colors, and you can see right on the stamp there where some of those thicker, darker branches are, and I'm just coloring onto those with a Tombow dual brush pen. And I'll have all of my supplies, including the colors of markers, listed at the end of the video. And I'm working in small sections so that the ink doesn't dry before I have time to stamp it. And I'll give you a look there at the panel in just a minute. I just wanted to be sure that you could see exactly where I'm coloring that on. This is the same color, and I'm just doing it several times to deepen the impression as we go. Now I'm going to clean that off and move on to another color. Now this color I'm putting in the same place, but it's a lighter color, so I'm going to extend it a little bit further beyond those branches. So you'll see it getting onto some of the smaller branches in the surrounding area of those larger ones. And again, I'm working in small sections so that the ink doesn't have time to dry before I stamp it. And there's a look at what we've stamped so far. So basically what you're seeing is the lightest color, which we first stamped, and now the darker colors. And then we'll go in now as we work and fill in with the more medium tones. And I'm doing that now with another color. And you can see that this I'm putting mainly onto the smaller branch areas, but still closer to the thicker branches. And now this final color, which I love that it has this touch of red to it, this one I'm applying on the smaller branches primarily, so that there will only be a little bit of that initial peanut brittle stamping color that remains. This stamp I think is great for any season. So here I'm giving it more of a winter look because I'll be putting a snowbank down at the bottom. But you could do this in all different colors of greens if you were doing a spring card, or lots of different fall colors if you put in more oranges and yellows. Or blues, which I'll show you here at the end of the video. I did a version in blues for a real frosty look. Now to finish this off, I wanted to just darken up those very thickest trunks or stems, as you would call them, or branches. So I'm doing that with my very darkest color, which is almost a black. And I love how this just gives even more contrast to the lighter colors included in the stamping. And here's a closer look at that panel. Now I'm ready to apply some inks to the background. So I'm using that peanut brittle ink. That's the same ink that we stamped with initially, and an ink blending tool with a foam pad, and applying that starting off of the edge and working my way on, with the primary color going into the bottom left-hand side and corner of the card. Next I'll add Vintage Photo Distress ink, and that I'm adding but just not going quite as far as I did with the peanut brittle ink. And the reason I've chosen these inks is just because I like the colors. Next is the Potting Soil ink. So one is Archival, one is Distress, one is Memento. I just chose the colors that I wanted because I knew I wasn't adding any other mediums on top of this stamped panel. I cut a little snowbank, just trimmed from some scrap white paper, and added a little ink along the edge and adhered that to my card. I put down my snowflakes from the Snowflake Duo Creative Die, and now this deer from the Beneath the Birches deer using dimensional foam adhesive. And then I'm just adding a couple of pearls to the center of the snowflakes. So there's a look at that finished panel. And then we'll move on now to the construction of the easel card. So here I have a piece of cardstock, and the dimensions on this are 3 3/8, and then I'm scoring now at 5 1/2. And the entire length of the piece is 11 inches. So then I scored at 5 1/2, and now I'm scoring at 2 3/4 inches. So this is a little bit narrower than a standard card, but it's the same height or length once it's all assembled. And that will be used for the easel portion. So directly below that smaller scored area, I'm applying adhesive. I'm just using double-sided tape, but you can use whatever you use to put your cards together. I just find that this is nice and strong. And then I'm going to put my panel onto that portion only. So wherever there's tape, that's where it will stick. And I'm lining up the bottom of that with the bottom of the portion that had adhesive. And you can see now we have the easel portion of the card put together. Here I've stamped just a small panel with a sentiment. And I'm putting that on the inside of the card. This sentiment is from our holiday snippet set, but I chose the Just For You because this could also be used for a winter birthday or even a masculine card. I'm taking just a tiny piece of tape to adhere this snowflake down. This is the part of the card that's going to hold this up once the person opens it up and puts it on the desk wherever they put it. So the heart is going up on dimensional adhesive, and that is what will really hold up that panel. So you'll see there, the easel portion just stands right up there with the heart, but when it's closed, it can be mailed in a standard envelope. And here's a little bit closer look at the easel portion of the card, and then a look at the entire design. I had so much fun making this one that I decided to do another in a different color scheme, and as I mentioned before, here is a look at more of a blue color scheme to give it a frosty, snowy look. But I followed the exact same techniques and layout to create this second card. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also connect with Penny Black on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, as well as our website and blog, which I'll link to all of those down in the YouTube description box below. And if you stay tuned here at the end of the video, you'll find a list of all the supplies used in the creation of this card.